Hello, everyone.
Hello, Miriam.
Good to see you
Okay, let's rock and roll.
again.
Welcome, everyone, to these stories of newcomers to Canada on their roads to overcome poverty. I'm Suzanne Herron. I'm currently the governor of the Western Canada region of Soroptimist International.
And I'm Gertrude Hauke, excuse me, the governor of Eastern Canada region, and welcome you as well. The Soroptimist International of the Americas, Eastern and Western Canada regions would like to acknowledge that we live on the traditional lands of many First Nations in the provinces of Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. We would also like to acknowledge the tumultuous history endured by the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and the contribution these communities have made to the fabric of our society and the beauty they have added to our multicultural nation. With this in mind, we will do what we can to help our communities move forward with mutual respect, reciprocity, trust, and collaboration in the spirit of reconciliation.
Now, we mentioned Soroptimist, and many people on this call are Soroptimist. For those who are not, we're the largest global network of volunteers with a mission to advance gender equality through education. So, on an individual level, we enable women to get the education they need for economic empowerment because that's the fastest route to equality. It impacts their families and their communities for the long term. On a local, regional, national, and international level, we advocate to reduce the systemic barriers to education, like violence, trafficking, early marriage, period poverty, and systemic poverty.
Our organization has a century-long commitment to supporting women and girls, and we have recognized the crucial role education plays in empowering women and girls economically and socially. Our signature program, the Live Your Dream Education and Training Award, is a vivid example how to reach this goal. By offering financial assistance to women pursuing secondary education, we are not only enabling them to gain valuable knowledge and skills, but also empowering them to make positive changes in their lives and communities. Education opens doors to opportunity, choice, and the ability to make informed decisions. Today, you can listen to success stories of amazing women.
The other signature program for Canadian Soroptimists is Dream It Be It, a program that I like to say gets high school girls fired up about taking responsibility for their own future, believing they can, and having some tools to do that. It helps them it helps to prevent them from falling into some of those barriers to education and equality. And one of our panelists today has been a presenter at Dream It Be It, and another took the entire program from Canada to Kenya.
So today, by listening to the stories of these four amazing women, we want to give you some insight into the work we do as Soroptimists and how this can change the lives of women, their families, and their communities. We will recognize how our Canadian values, such as diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, play an important role in their journey towards success. However, we also acknowledge there are still gaps and challenges that need to be addressed.
We're so grateful to have Canadian Member of Parliament and dedicated Soroptimist, Benita Zarillo, as our moderator today. And you will have read briefly about our wonderful panelists, Mariam Astadi, who came from Iran and escaped an abusive marriage, Ariel Keabaga, who came from war-torn Burundi as a child, Temi Faith, who came from Nigeria seeking a better life for her children and found one for herself as well, and Kayenga Wasiki, who was inspired by the work she did in Canada and the Soroptimist program to take both back to her home country of Kenya. They have their stories. Benita has some questions, and we invite you to put your questions or comments into the Q&A.
Thank you for the introduction of the speakers, Governor Suzanne. Before we go on, I would like to set some ground rules. During the presentation, you will be muted. Please put your questions in the Q&A. There will be time at the end for the panelists to answer your questions. As we delve into the stories of these amazing women, I encourage everyone to engage respectfully and thoughtfully. Your questions and remarks are valuable, and we want to ensure that this event remains a safe and inclusive space for all participants. Without further ado, I pass the floor to Benita to shed light on the experience of newcomers in Canada. Thank you again for joining us, and I look forward to a productive and enlightening discussion.
Thank you so much, Governor Hawk, and thank you so much, Governor Herron, for this opportunity to moderate this exciting panel today. I know we're going to learn a lot, and I'm looking forward to hearing the stories. As you mentioned, I am a Soroptimist, and I'm happy to say that one of the reasons I'm sitting in this chair today as a member of Parliament in Canada is because of the Soroptimist. I remember in 2014 when the opportunity to go to CSW appeared, and when I sat on the beginning of the call today, over 100 people saying hi from across all continents right now on this call. It just goes to show the power of the Soroptimists. So welcome all. I'm here on the unceded and traditional territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe, visiting from the traditional and unceded territory of the Coquitlam, and I'm going to get right at it. Each of our panelists is going to share a story. So Miriam, welcome. Nice to see you. You are up first today to share your story, and I know that we live close by each other, so it's wonderful to be able to see you out in the community. I know you're a Live Your Dream Award winner, and I wonder if you could just share with the community today how it changed your journey to have this interaction with the Soroptimist, how you stayed connected, and just if you could share your journey overcoming poverty.
Hello again, everyone. Thank you, Bonita, for giving that opportunity to me. I am Mariam Ostadi. I was born in 1977 in a traditional Shi'i Muslim family in Iran. I was 1.5 years old in 1979 when other countries helped replace the monarchy of Pahlavi into the Islamic Republic of Mullahs. And the constitution was completely rewritten under the influence of the Sharia law. And this means completely the human rights being neglected, especially impacting women. I didn't have peaceful childhood due to my family lifestyle and the war between Iran and Iraq that started in 1980s and went on for 8 years. I still can remember the aerial bombardments. My father was an addict with anger issues, and my mother was an obedient woman to her Allah, father, and her husband. No matter how much she was beaten and in hardship, she couldn't get divorced because there wasn't any support available for her. I was 19 years old when I decided to get married to kind of leave that situation and build up my own life. While I couldn't do any study, and even getting my high school diploma was challenging. So after my marriage, I was able to the adult continue education, get my high school graduation done. Couple of years later, like a year later after my marriage, I had my first son, and a couple of years later, I recognized my husband has an addiction. It took 10 years to overcome, because when I recognized he's an addict, I went back to my father's place with my child, and you can guess there wasn't any support. My mom hadn't any words to stand for me, and my father was manipulating me, telling he's gonna fix the problem, but advising the another party to take my child away, so that way I go back to my husband. I recognize I have to go back and change the situation. So it took 10 years. During the 10 years, my father passed away. I learned Turkish just by watching TV, and I learned how to read and write by Turkish language, and that was a big deal because I got good job as a translator, Turkish translator, and that changed my life financially. I put the evidence. I was encouraged to go to court and finally miraculously get my divorce done after 10 years. But I had to sacrifice many things because everything was temporarily. He got my son away from me again, and for 3 years I couldn't even talk to my son by phone. 1.5 years later, I met my second husband. It was very promising, and I was broken enough because of my mental health and feeling so missing my son, believing him. When everything set it up for the second marriage, he just opened that he's not divorced and like manipulating the stuff, and we ended up to leave the country. And later on, I recognized because he knew I have a financial security and I have skills. I was the bridge to help to pass to Europe, which didn't end that way. And we ended up to live in Turkey for almost 4 years and apply as a refugee through to the UNHCR. This process took almost 4 years. And in 2013, we landed in Canada. I've been forced to have a child in Turkey. So during that time, I was able to convince my first ex-husband to send my son, although he was engaged that way. He accepted sending my son to me. So I came to Canada with my second husband and my two boys, youngest one 17 months and older one 14 years. He left us right away. And 7 months later, when everything settled, I got BC housing with the help of government, and the support was available that time for single mom. I went back to the school. He came back. We got married, and this legal marriage didn't take so long, just less than 1.5 years, and took 9 years to get divorced. During the pandemic, I had a very hard time because I tried to have a couple part-time job, but because he was so manipulative, somehow my employment was ending because people, they didn't want their business be involved with the personal dramas. I decided to go back to school, upgrade myself, and give it time to see how the situation gonna change. During that time, when I registered in the BCIT for the program called Applied Computer Application, I got introduced to Soroptimists through to my younger son, school's youth worker, and that was life-changing. It was Live Your Dream Award, very on time when I was financially very tight. That helped me to finish my education for first time in the post-secondary, and be graduated from BCIT and be more confident. I'm helping other immigrants and especially women with the struggles in my community through different organizations, because I believe my purpose is paying back that love and helping them to see themselves, believe on themselves, and see how much education could help to build up and be confident and know about their human rights. And proudly, I'm co-director of Soroptimist International of Tri-City Club right now, and serving to my community in Tri-City. And my dream is someday when Iran, my country, set free, I establish the first Soroptimist in Tehran and use that beautiful potential of all strong, smart, wise ladies to put together and start new generation. Thank you so much for giving me that time.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and we can follow that story all the way around from you needing to find a safe space from your home that you grew up in to being able to create a safe space for people now in the community of the Tri-Cities, like you said. Thank you so much for sharing. I wanted to ask you, before we move on to the next panelist, Tame, I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned about housing when you came to Canada being the first thing that you needed, and also that you took again school at BCIT. I'm just wondering if you could share some of the barriers that you ran into in trying to find housing, and some of the barriers you may have run into trying to find schooling, and then also some of the things that helped you reach housing and get into school.
Yeah, definitely. First most struggling barrier was language, because when I arrived here, I just knew a couple words. I wasn't familiar with the system. I didn't have any family or friends. Already I was depressed because of the abusive relationship I had. I had two child who they've been in the different age. They have their own needs and struggles. But the blessing was this time we came as a protected refugee, and BC was the co-sponsor. So they have variety of programs like English classes, link classes, and I had settlement worker who that time was able even come to our place with his laptop and do all our office works, helping to do the application for BC housing and helping me go through to that process. For sure, that time it was the financial support from government. That wasn't the issue to paying the rent. It was a small portion. The rent that time wasn't that high like today. And with the help, I could find the subsidized housing. Right now, I'm helping for the people who they have some situation with the language barrier to doing their applications as much I can. Like if they have medical issue, they have BC housing issue. That is like kind of paying back the love I earned the time, and learning step by step my English skills, improve, doing the volunteering, not be scared of being judged was very helpful, because it's a blessing to be in the environment. People are very welcomer and they don't judge you because you are immigrant. I'm so thankful to be here.
Oh. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for sharing how difficult it would be, how that presents a barrier to even doing applications with the language barrier. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for the work you do around food security too for newcomers in the community.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move to Tammy. Tammy, I know you also came to Canada with children, and I wonder if you wouldn't mind just sharing your story. And again, I'm just going to ask you if you can share maybe some of the barriers that came in front of you, and also some of the opportunities that came before you in your road, in your journey.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Temilade Olaiwola Oriji. But people for easier calling, they call me Timmy. Yeah, I came to Canada with my two children. And I just want to start my story with kind of like a description of how my journey was. When you are on a long, difficult journey, you are driving, you must have filled your tank, and then it will get to a stage that because it's been driving for so long, you will need to refill that tank because you are probably running on reserve. A failure to do so can result in an empty tank, and you might be stranded. That was my life. That was my case before I came to Canada. I was on empty and living on a reserve, the reserve that was left in me. And that reserve was my hope. I was holding on to that hope for the sake of my children, having left my home country in pursuit of a better life for myself and my children. I lost my husband at an early age, and that death subjected me to many trauma. I was left alone to take care of my 2 children with no support. It was overwhelming and tiring, but I had hopes for myself. I was holding on to that hope because I want to leave a legacy for my children. I knew that something had to change, and that I need to change its stereotypical belief about widowed women in society. But I knew that I was soon running on an empty tank, because when you have hope for some time and nothing is changing, it will make your heart sick. I just wanted to live and have someone believe in me that there is hope for a better tomorrow. That hope was restored when I came to Canada. I was just listed for the Small Steps to Success program that was organized by the YWCA Cambridge. In the Small Steps to Success program, I was introduced to sharing my widowhood journey and my lived experience. There, I shared my desire for an education so I'll be able to give the best to my children. I believe that with education, I will be in a better position in my family and the community. Unfortunately for me, I got admitted to Conestoga College to study social service worker program. While attending the school full-time, I was also working full-time. And on top of that, I was managing the family, which was not easy for me. And that was when I heard about the Soroptimist Live Your Dream Award. The Live Your Dream Award provides financial assistance to women who are primary wage earners for their family, with the financial resources to help offset some costs associated with their effort to attain higher education. I applied and I got it. The monetary award helped me slow down at work to focus on my studies. There is a saying in my country that when something is yours, it will last forever. The Soroptimist organization gave me that thing that I can call mine and that will be with me forever, and that is access to education. My education has paved way for me, has opened many doors for me, and helped me to realize my potential. The help I received from the Soroptimist instilled hope and grounded my longing for a better life. When I thought that the chapter was closed for me to have a dream, the Live the Dream Award came true with its name. My dream is to become educated and help women who have given up hope in themselves about their dreams. They may have given up hope for many reasons, often because life happens and the situation at hand has prevented them from fulfilling their dream. I also want to help young girls who have encountered trauma to realize that they can be anything they desire in life, if or when they put their mind to it. Because I was able to realize what I can give through the selfless act of the Soroptimist organization, which helped a helpless woman like me who was clinging on to the last thing she had, hope, and the desire that someone out there will believe in her, that she can be who she wants to be, a valuable woman in society. After I completed my social work program at Conestoga College, I applied for a bachelor's degree at the University of Waterloo. I completed my Bachelor of Arts, and right now I'm about to complete my social work degree. All this could not have been possible without the support I received, for which I will forever be grateful. I hope to take the Soroptimists to Nigeria to help women and girls in future, because I know the hardship widowed women and their children face after losing their loved ones. I can only imagine the hope that will be given to people like me with that award. People who have a dream and are alive just to see another day. It is a hope restored and a dream given that you can be who you have already been destined to be. Soroptimists listen. They listen to my dream. They have a name for my dream. They believe in my dream and contributed to making it happen for me. And I am standing here today to say, I am unstoppable, because my hope was renewed. My faith was compensated, and I will only move forward like never before. The road to overcoming poverty begins with when women and girls who have a dream have someone to encourage them in their journey, like the Soroptimist Live Your Dream Award did for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and so much talking about the empty tank and how Live Your Dreams was an opportunity
And
to
I'm gonna
yeah, go ahead.
No, I thought you wanted me to answer the question, but I wanted to continue.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do have a question for you, because I just really appreciated your analogy of filling the tank, and just how the Soroptimist came at a time, the Live Your Dream came in a time where you were able to fill your tank a little bit, because you didn't have to, you were working a full-time job and going to school. That's a difficult task. So yeah, my question is really around the gaps that you might see as you're coming now, you're almost going to graduate for your social work, which is outstanding. What are kind of the gaps that you saw in your journey when you came to Canada that you can bring forward in your work that you move forward as a social worker?
One of the gap I see was the fear of, you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know what you're going to meet. Like when I came here, I was so into working so that I can support my family. So there are some things that I was afraid of speaking up for at my workplace, because I don't know if I speak up, I'm going to get fired. It was after later that I knew, because let me give an example. Like I know that when you have you are working 8 hours, you're supposed, after 5 hours, you're supposed to have a break. But I was working and I wanted to go on break, but I couldn't. And I was just managing myself. And it got to a time I couldn't take it anymore. And I just had to tell my supervisor, I said, please, I need a break. Because I was working at a restaurant at that time, and I was in front of the grill, the fryer, and I was there for all the time. And then I just had to tell her, I said, I need a break. And she was like, oh, Temi, I thought you don't. I thought you, because I know that you're always this active person. I said, no, this time around, I need a break. Then she said, oh, yeah, you are supposed to take a break after 5 hours. I think people coming in, mostly they don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know what could get them in trouble. And that is because of where we are coming from. I think something should be done in that area, that people should not feel like, oh, if I need, even when I need time off, I don't want to take time off because I was afraid I might lose my job. So I think something should be done around that area to fill that gap, that people will be aware of what their rights are, what they are entitled to, because most, like me, I don't know. And that will help a lot. And another thing I encountered was housing. I know somebody already talked about housing. I encountered a lot of, because I don't have a credit history in Canada, I don't have anybody to really stand for me. It was really difficult to get an apartment. So those are the things I think something should be that, oh, if you're an immigrant, you are coming in, this is for you, that you don't need to go through the credit history process. Even then, when I told them that, oh, I'm on OW and they are going to support me, still some landlords, no, we don't want you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting because the theme is education, and you talked about how important education was, and then we think about education on things that aren't formal, like how to what are your rights when you have a job. And it's kind of the same thing that Miriam was saying, how she shares too now the human rights that she's learned that we're entitled to. And this also on the housing, like, you have some rights even when dealing with landlords. I know it's hard to enforce those rights, but to have some informal education too around that sounds like it would be very helpful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And I'm going to move on to Ariel Mpikayabaga, one of my colleagues in the House of Commons here in Canada. And I wonder, Ariel, if you wouldn't mind to share your story. Oh, it's Ariel. Are we going to Kayanga? I'm sorry.
I don't see Ariel.
Okay.
I'm right here. Can you see me?
Speak up.
Just gonna write down.
Hi, everyone.
And
Can you hear me?
Ariel, just while we're sorting out the screen for you, Ariel, I was talking about you today in regards to disability and housing and your private members bill. And if
Yeah.
you do have some time today, if you would mention it, that'd be great. If we can spotlight Ariel Mpikayabaga, please.
Okay.
And Kayanga, I'll get to you.
And Ariel, are
There
you
we
on?
go.
Let me put my name in the chat so maybe it will help you find me. This is Ariel. My title starts with Ariel Kaibaga.
Sorry about this.
That's okay. Take your time. I know Zoom is not the most, fashionable tool to use. I have been using it for the last 4 years and I still stumble. So you're fine.
Looking for the background. Okay. There we are. There we go.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, okay. No background. That's why. Sorry.
That's okay. I didn't have a background because I'm not a member of the Soroptimists, which I probably should be. But I've engaged with you a couple of times, and I'm very excited and happy to be back and join my colleague Bonita Cirillo, which we're not from the same party, but I think I can rightfully say that we fangirl each other. Bonita, I've had multiple I want to say interns that have asked me, who would you suggest? Who else would you suggest on the Hill? I would suggest her, and I've also heard that she suggests me too. So I think that we are parliamentary sisters at this point, and I love that there are some very strong, powerful women who care about things like housing, disability inclusion, equity and inclusion altogether. I've not had a lot of opportunity to work with Bonita yet, but Bonita, I look up to you a lot in many ways, and I am so grateful that you're in the House of Commons. Hi, everybody. I am Ariel Kayabaga. I'm the Member of Parliament for London West. I'm also the chair of the Liberal Black Caucus, and I also co-chair the Global Cooperation Caucus. I just want to commend the team that organized today's panel. The work that you're doing is outstanding. I was listening to the stories of Miriam and Temi, and let me just say, it was I don't know if I'm at the right panel because these are very, very powerful women who are sharing very powerful stories. I am very honored to be speaking on the same platform as you, and I'm so happy and proud to hear how you have overcome. And this is I think for me, the inspiration that drives me to do the work that I do and why I care about inclusion, why I care about making sure that, diverse voices are at the table because we can make good policies. Women make good policies. Women of diverse voices with different lived experiences make good policy. And Bonita just mentioned a little bit about my motion that I passed in the House last year, last year. And the motion was really to support people who have disabilities that are not visible. So non-visible disabilities, including, other disabilities as well. But this specific piece was sort of missing in the, equity and inclusion bucket. And it came out of a conversation I had with a woman who came to door knock with me when I was campaigning. And she said, Ariel, as a woman who, experiences non-visible disabilities, I have challenges even being in housing. And when I do, people take advantage of me. Sometimes landlords don't even want to rent to me. I have to live with family. I have to figure out a way to be in this precarious situation. And I'm lucky. I have a mom that I can count on. I have family members. But when you think about all the other women who are living with non-visible disabilities, these are the most vulnerable people in our community. And about 13% of Canadians live with non-visible disability. And I just thought to myself, if we are going to continue to talk about inclusion in housing and talk about affordable housing and accessible housing to everyone, why are we not protecting the most vulnerable population of Canadians that are experiencing, this precariousness in accessing housing and even staying housed, even when they do get access to housing, staying housed and making sure that they are protected, their rights are protected, and nobody is taking advantage of them because they feel that they don't have the support system that they need to be able to stay housed and be successful. I'm so proud that it was a unanimous vote. The entire Parliament of Canada voted for it, and I was really proud of it because I do think that it's really important to continue to bring the equity lens in all the policies that we do. And it might seem like a small thing. It's not a small thing. When you think about 13% of the population and you think about our aging population as well, not just women, but other people who are going to grow to need different forms of housing. So it's kind of innovative because it's going to be very necessary and needed in the next 30, 50 years when many people are retiring and are aging. And I did do a lot of consultations with seniors as well when I was putting this motion together. So, as I said, I am the Member of Parliament for London West. London is on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Lenni Lenape, and we have three neighboring reserves: the Oneida people, the first Chippewas, the First Stems, and the Oneida. I forget the third one. I apologize. I don't have it in my notes, but I just wanted to recognize that because I do think that inclusive of, when we talk about poverty, overcoming poverty, we have to talk about the indigenous communities and the policies that we're putting forward as a country have to also include indigenous communities and not just newcomers and not just, people who have lived through generational poverty. I came to Canada when I was 11 years old. I was fleeing a conflict in Burundi with my family. And adjusting to Canada was a challenge, as many of you have mentioned. I was a child, so I lived through this experience through the lens of my mom. We came, my mom was an educated woman. Both my parents were university educated, like many Africans. And seeing her navigate this new country with children on her own was very humbling. It's almost like I went from seeing this superhero become very small because one, there was language barriers, two, there's a lot of jargon that she didn't understand, and she constantly needed to talk to me about things that she never spoke to me about. I had what I called the adult conversation. So as a child experiencing that migration, you become an adult very quickly, and you're concerned about your parent all the time. You're concerned about, finances, which you were never concerned about before. And I say that to say our parents didn't talk to us about finances. They raised us in a way where we were children. And I'm a believer that children are happy where their parents are happy. We lived through a war, and I talk about this all the time, where to me, the war, living through a war seemed different when I lived in a country where there was no war. Had I continued to live through the war, my life would have continued to be what was normal in my circumstances at that point. I now know that a lot of the things that I'd lived through were not normal circumstances. And these are also things that drive me to want to have a different world. And the policies that I implement today are also driven by my past experiences living in Burundi. So, as you know, newcomers in Canada face a lot of challenges in accessing jobs, accessing housing. And I think Temi mentioned that very well in her comments around even like understanding the laws that protect you in your workplace. I quickly became very witty in that part where I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know who my mom was talking to. I wanted to know what contract she was signing. And it just always wanted to know what she was doing so that I can best support her, because I did immediately read the fact that she felt very unsure and unsafe in this new environment. And it led me to, I guess, the woman I am today, sitting in parliament, advocating for policies that, are talking about inclusion, including women, talking about, making childcare more accessible, fighting for more affordable and accessible housing, and even like the harder things to talk about, such as, voting the right way when it comes to the war between that's been happening in between Israel and Palestine, and the children that are dying in Gaza. All of these things make up. It's almost like I've been prepped and planned to be here today, and it's a bubble of things that really have made me the person that I am. And I wouldn't choose another life. I think challenges come so that you can overcome them, and once you do get to a place where you're actually able to overcome them, it is now your duty to lay a path. And I say this all the time, we have to lay a path. You have to lend a helping hand, because you don't make it on your own. There are people who are, set the path forward for you, and you follow through those little paths, and you make things better, you improve. And that's why, I love policy, because in policy, you can see a policy that was written 20 years ago, and in the context of now, you can see, okay, this is not working here. We need to amend, the policy to sort of work here, and we need to leave room for another people to come in the next 10 years or 15 years to readjust the policy to make sure that it's actually working and helping the people that it's intended to work. So that's a little bit about me. I'm also a mom. I have a 14-year-old. I'm a Francophone. I live in a community that is predominantly Anglophone, but the Francophone community sort of has built their own little nest. Canada is a bilingual country, but as a Francophone who lives outside of Quebec, I can tell you, I've never really experienced that bilingualism, other than knowing that there are Francophone communities across the country. And that also poses a lot of challenges for people who are trying to access healthcare within a language that they speak. It was very complicated. And again, I'm as much as there are challenges that we had to overcome, I'm grateful for the people and the communities that band together and come up together and figure out ways to make it work. I don't think I would have been able to be the person I am today had I not left Burundi, had I not moved to London, Ontario, which is like a city that is not Francophone, completely Anglophone, and I didn't have those challenges of wanting to know, what my mom was going through as a newcomer, as a refugee fleeing a war with children. And it gave me a different perspective about life, and it made me keep an eye open all the time for everything that happens. I want to see the equity, inclusion. I want to see, even in budgets, I was a city councilor in 2018. I want to see how budgets are being equitable to include the most marginalized and the most vulnerable people in our communities, not because they did anything to be marginalized or vulnerable. It's just the situation that they're in, and we can improve people's lives by adopting better policies. And there's always room for improvement, and there's always if the desire is there, there's always room for work to be done. So I'm so happy and honored to join all of you and these very powerful women who have shared really powerful stories. I think mine is minuscule in hindsight, but it is an honor to be able to share and to hear, and it really does give me that fire I need to continue to do the work that I do. Thank you so much, Bonita, for moderating this panel. I'm learning so much already this morning.
Well, thank you so much, and I've got so much to say. But first of all, thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for sharing your story about what it was like to be a child, and when you came to Canada, and kind of being that mediator between your parents and taking on a new life, including housing, education. I'm sure you had to do all of those things. So I just wanted to, the beginning of this call, there's 100 on the call now. At the beginning of the call, everyone was kind of saying hello, hello. And networks are so important. And you mentioned about, how you and I have kind of worked together on the peripherals. But I want to say that there is a saying out there that, stay close to people that say your name in a room when you're not in there. Everyone on this call has that opportunity and knows that on this call that you have friends and networks that are able to do that. And I think that is one thing that women, I'm going to speak specifically about women, haven't had the access to networks, especially in these policy-making spaces, because we're only now at a space where there's 30% of women in the Canadian Parliament. This is just a very recent happening. And we know the United Nations say you need 30% of a voice for it to be heard. So we're only just getting to see that for women. So I'm going to ask you one question just around that, is that you've done so much work on this housing file and all this consultation on the housing file and disabilities. But can you share what it means to be out on the doorstep with people, to be out seeing people in community, and how you're able to bring that back to the House of Commons?
That's a very good question, because I feel like a friend of mine a few days ago, we were just chatting about this, and I was sharing my story in 2018. So I've run 2 elections and a half-ish, because you do have to run to also become the candidate for a party. So that's the half. I'll add that in there, because it's actually a very, very tough. It's tougher to run within your own circle than it is to run outside the circle. It was a really tough campaign. My first campaign was in 2018. And for context, I was the first Black woman to be elected on city council in London in 2018. And I say that because, as you know, whatever it means to whomever who hears that comment, it was a very tough experience. Being a first of anything is always a very, it's a challenging experience. That's the word I'll use. I'll say challenging. It was a challenging experience because there was no blueprint. There was no, there's no nothing that was given to me to say, here's how you're supposed to do this, and these are the things that you're supposed to do. I really just trusted my gut and my team to sort of like push through. And my experience at the door was, my first experience at the door was a hit or miss. I was someone that people did not know. I never run in, campaigns before, and people, as loving as Canadians can be, sometimes when you're faced with something you don't know, someone you don't know, you have barriers, right? And we can all agree that those barriers show up. I think it's safe to say that I did experience a lot of racism in that campaign. I didn't talk about it much because I wanted to avoid scaring other women to run as well, scaring other young people to run, scaring other Black people to run. But I have to say, I had such a strong support system, and there were so many other supporters that to me, I just kept rising above it. There were days where I truly felt like I did not want to go back to knock doors again. But I saw it as a challenge that I had to overcome. And with the right support system, with the right people, I got up the next day and will go back and door knock again. And the fact that I won means that there's a lot more supporters than there were, the dissent. And I did, it was the first time that Canada had a ranked ballot system, which we've now lost. I, in the end, was able to get over 50% of the votes and was, I guess what you would say, duly elected, which made me very heartwarmed, because the experience at the door wasn't always the most pleasant, but it did show that there was a willingness for people to face something that was new and they didn't know. And I served for 3 years on council before I became the member of parliament for London West, as again being the first woman of color, or Black women, to be a member of parliament in London. My 2021 experience was different because the conversation was also different. I was also under a party banner, which was also different, and you kind of have that protection of a party where people hate the party if they do hate you at the door, but they don't really necessarily hate the person, and the conversations are a little different. I was also a little bit more seasoned at that point. People knew me in my community. They enjoyed some of the policies that were very community focused that I had put forward, and the conversations were much, 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 much better. That does not mean that it was not a challenging campaign, because as you know, it was a time where we're just coming out of COVID. There was a lot of COVID hesitancy, vaccine hesitancy. There was a lot of distrust of governments and institutions that was beginning to grow. I think now we're in full blown, government distrust of institutions, populism growing in our country, and people who are really fueling that. In 2021, that's the kind of challenge that we faced. I'm looking forward to seeing what 2025 is going to bring. I at the same time, I'm worried because I do think that the political atmosphere has completely changed, and it's not about, ideas and policies that you're bringing forward. It feels like it's about the distrust and the disliking of governments, and so yeah, we're going to need more women to participate in the next. And I think.
Yes.
Bonita, I've heard this from across the world. I've traveled in multiple countries, and I have heard that populism is growing, whether it's here in the North American continent or in Europe or in Latin America. Like, it's just a problem that everybody's experiencing. So I'm looking to hear and see how other people are going to manage it. But my experience the first time was a challenge. I overcame it and continue to overcome it. It's not something that ends in one day. In 2021, I felt that the challenges was a bit lighter than in 2018. I don't know if I can say the same in 2025, but at least it won't be based off of my skin color or the fact that I'm, a female, a woman, or that I'm young. So
Yeah.
at least that's what I'm hoping.
You had a bunch of intersections there, which
Absolutely.
I thank you so much for sharing, and I wish you had more time. Governor Heron, we'll have to do this again at some time and get some more information, because I think that is so key to understand. I mean, we talk about women, but what about the intersections of color? And if you said even ageism, like it is something that we have to overcome. And when I think about the policy, I mean, it's a very rare thing that a member of parliament has a private member's business or a motion that they bring to the House that has unanimous consent. So the fact that you have that, you made that happen for persons with disabilities in this country, it's amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And our next speaker is Kayanga, and we're looking forward to hearing your story. A very exciting one, and I'm just going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much for moderating this. And I just want to applause for the wonderful speakers who've spoken before me. And as I honor all the senior women in the world everywhere, where they are and where they have been, for giving us an opportunity, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, giving us an opportunity to be who we are right now in the world, fighting and struggling with the challenges we are sharing tonight. And I just wanted to really give my honor to all the senior women that have come before us and have laid the foundation for us to be able to share what we are sharing. And my name is Kayanga Wasike, and I was born and raised in a very rural village called Musembe, as you had everybody call it at the beginning of the meeting tonight, in Western Kenya, in a very peasant family where there was very limited resources. And so we went a couple of days without food. We had to work for people on their farms to be able to survive. And with a very alcoholic father and very abusive, it wasn't easy for me to have the vision that I have and all the dreams that I ended up having in the end. So due to absolute extreme poverty, I wasn't able to go to school in a normal circumstance as a young girl, because during my time going to school, I sound like 144 years old, but this is where it was opportunities for education were given to boys. Girls were meant to be just housewives and give birth to children, get married at 13 and forget about education. So it was very difficult. And my father was one of those victims because he wanted to receive my dowry as soon as possible so he could continue drinking and marrying other wives. I come from a family of many siblings. My father had 6 wives. My mother is the first wife. And so we are over 40 of us. But tonight I'm just sharing the challenges that the young women, especially in rural settings, come across, and how it's very difficult for them to fight the barriers. When I was 13, my father decided, no, I had to get married because he was after the dowry. And this was a big problem for my mother because she wanted to see me go beyond what she was and what she was suffering. So she struggled beyond, I can't go into more details, but she fought the battle to see me go to school. And because she couldn't manage, she didn't have the money to educate me, she gave me up to the Catholic Church, who supported me through high school into college and helped me become a high school teacher. So my mother is my first hero because she got a lot of licks and beats for taking me to school instead of allowing me to get married. So I am a mother of two, and I have 12 adopted children, 7 girls and 5 boys. And so I have a family of 14. I'm a very proud mother, but this has made me really understand the need of children to have a parent, because it's very, very challenging. Most of these children have come from even more dire situation than mine. And because I was helped to be who I am, I felt like I needed to go back and also help and pick and support others who would end up being better people in the world. And they are right now. Most of them have finished university, colleges, and they're supporting their own families, and they're doing very well. So I just wanted to share that at the beginning. So why did I decide to go to Canada? I went to Canada as an immigrant, a volunteer immigrant. There is a difference in Canada between a refugee and an immigrant. But when we are there, we are all just immigrants. So it was very challenging when I arrived in Canada. And for those who don't know about Canada, Canada prides itself on its multicultural population. Today, Canada is a home to people from more than 200 countries and a vast range of races, religions, and cultures. It was just amazing that you have had all these presenters tonight. We all come from different parts of the world, from Iran, from Rwanda, from Nigeria, and you can see we all ended up in Canada, and we are still here to tell the story. So I applaud for all the speakers tonight for really hanging in there and struggling through all the challenges that we went through in Canada. When I went to Canada, I was a young woman. I had just lost the father of my children, and I left 2 children behind and went on my own to try and volunteer and find a way as a high school teacher to come back and build a school of excellence for young girls. And my journey started right there. But the biggest challenge of me immigrating to Canada was when I got to Canada, finding employment. I was so proud in my country. I was a teacher, was so cool. Like I was so important as a woman, right? And when I arrived in Canada, I realized my certification, my credentials were not what was Canadian. So I had to start going backwards to ask myself, what do I do? Do I go back to my country, or how am I going to struggle with this? And realizing that the finding employment opportunities that matched my skills set and experience were completely very narrow in Canada. So I decided, okay, facing these barriers, I was just going to keep fighting to see what was it that I needed to do to be able to excel. So one of the things was I spoke English. I still speak English. It's not like really, really great, but my accent alone was a big deal. When I spoke, even in front of students and other people, they were like, what are you saying? Even when I said my name, Hayanga, it's like, what are you saying? And so it made me crash. It made me feel very uncomfortable. It made me feel inadequate. I lost my self-esteem. It made me feel very insecure. And yeah, it's funny, but it's very serious that the issue prevented me from getting suitable employment, because each time I went for the interview, I would feel like people are trying to struggle to hear me. And I was like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Then I was like, okay, fine. Here are my credentials from my country. They're like, nah, we don't have that. So it's not very important. So as we look at it in the future with the Canadian population on the call tonight, I think there's a huge gap that still exists between the immigrants when we arrive with our certification and the labor market that is relatively not a big problem for native-born Canadians. So I think that was my first challenge. Culture shock. When I arrived during winter, and the first thing that happened is I slid on the ice and fell and dislocated my hip because I didn't know how to walk on the snow. So my first 3-4 months, I was bedridden because I didn't know what to do, and so I felt homesick. The weather was very harsh, and as you all know, Canada is covered with snow most of the months of the year. I went to Vancouver, which they said it is the Mexico of Canada, but still there was snow when I got there, and I still got hurt and was bedridden for some months. Finding affordable accommodation, as they've said, was so difficult for me. Housing was like a no-no. Everywhere I went, they was like, nah, we don't take Black people here. As our Honorable Member of Parliament has said, they were really, really, I faced racism when it came to looking for housing, because it was like, when you bring Black people in some of these establishments, they're coming with the drugs and all that. And so it was like, no. Everywhere I went, it was like, no. So finding housing was a very big problem. As I have already said, job hunting was a problem, looking for suitable employment. Isolation from my family. I had left behind my 2 children. I had arrived there by myself. I can share with you, I cried enough tears. If I would have filled a lake. I would have filled a lake just crying for missing my children and being in a world where I thought I was going to, a little paradise where fruits and milk were just hanging on trees, and then arriving there and finding so many challenges that I couldn't even bring my children immediately after I arrived. So the assumption just that because you came from a non-English speaking country, you didn't speak good English was another issue that prevailed everywhere I went. But I had dreams because I had left home hoping that I would go and learn more into education system as a teacher, and then come back and build a school of excellence for young women. And these dreams just gave me the determination to survive all the challenges as I've shared earlier. These challenges were like, okay, what am I going to do? I have to either find something else or change my career and do something different, which I did. So I decided to leave teaching and now get into college for social work. So I went into social work, and lucky enough, I was able to struggle to transfer some credits from my own college here in Kenya. And that pushed me a little bit ahead. And I thank the organizations that work with immigrants in Canada. And I should say, if I never had support from those organizations that work with immigrants, they believed in me and gave me opportunities to even volunteer with them, work with them as I went to college, and helped me get employment after I finished college. So I worked for a medical center on a street called Commercial Drive in Vancouver, and it really did support who I ended up becoming. And I had one of the best supervisors ever. She believed in me. And anytime she had an opportunity to go and do something in Toronto, in Montreal, she would say, hey, Kayanga, I've been invited to go and do this. And I think you'll do better than me. Can you go? And she would book the flights, and I would go and speak on behalf of the organization or go for the train where she was supposed to go and train. And I think this gave me that opportunity for me now to grow, back my self-esteem, to grow into a more strong, secure, and happy, excited woman, still with the dream of one day giving back to my community. After 10 years in Canada, my desire to build a girls' school of excellence where they would learn leadership skills fueled my decision to return to Africa, to the village, and fulfill my dream. Shocked to see the poor status of people's lives in my community, I chose to establish a community learning resource center, which addressed food security, health, literacy, and environment issues. Yet still yearning for the Girls' School of Excellence. I wondered, how would I ever do that? I didn't have enough resources. Yes, I was able to purchase land to build the community center, but I had no resources to build the School of Excellence. Due to limited resources in 2011, I decided to start an annual girls' leadership camp. which would bring girls from all over the country, ages 13 to 17, to come and learn leadership and hopefully get mentorship after their completion of their 10 days leadership camp. This was very exciting for me. I was like, yeah, here comes my girls. And so I put all my hope and all my dreams into this program. And I started going all over North America to be able to fundraise single-handedly every year for the same camp. In 2012, I met the Soroptimist Club of West North Vancouver, who sponsored part of the second camp. And I was excited. When I had their vision and mission, I was like, who are these women? They really sound cool. I love it. I love it. I love what they're doing. This is very exciting. And so I was like, okay, I just follow their vision and keep going, because they had the knowledge and all the aspiration that I was looking for. But then I didn't know how to become a Soroptimist. I thought it was an organization for these wealthy North American women who had their shit together, and my shit wasn't together yet. So I thought, okay, fine, I can't become a Soroptimist, but I really like what they're doing. So I kept on believing in their vision and mission. And after they had sponsored the second part of the second camp, I started to knowing more about them. And in 2016, I found that there was Soroptimists in Kenya. And when I was told about Soroptimists in Kenya, I said, that is just an organization for the wealthy women in North America. How come it's in Kenya? So the person who told me laughed at me so hard, and she said, let us go to the meeting together. And on that very day, I became a Soroptimist in 2016 and continued with fundraising single-handedly each year and making sure that the camp was held. And in 2019, I met with the Soroptimist president-elect, then who decided, Madam Sharon Fisher, who then decided to look into what I was doing and see if it was of value with her president's appeal of a road to equality, preparing women and girls to lead. And I was like, okay. So after she listened to me and looked at what I was doing, she was like, you know what? I want to partner with your organization. And I said, yeah, I am here in Canada, and I have moved back to Africa. But in Canada, we have an organization called Willing Hearts International Society of Canada, and that is what is helping to do the community projects, but not the Girls Leadership Camp. And she said, I am in. I'm going to work with you if you allow me. And I said, why not? So since 2019, she focused on looking at it. In 2020, COVID hit, and we couldn't have the camp. But she said, oh, I would like to still support you. What can you do? We said, we had started a building. The girls always sleep down on the mattress. To 100 to 200 girls sleep on the floor, and all sleep just bundled together like goats. And yeah, so if we have some roof on this building, we will be able to have more girls sleep in a better environment. And she said, I will help with that. And since then, that was 2020. 2021, we had the camp sponsored fully by the President's Appeal, Road to Equality, and through Madam Sharon Fisher. 2022, the same thing. 2023, last year, we did the same thing again, where she was able to travel with many other Soroptimists from North America and Germany and different places to come and see as an educational tour to see what happens with the girls' camp. And they were here for all the time, and it was wonderful. So I immediately learned about, in 2020, I learned about the Dream It, Be It. And then I thought, oh, I guess this is what we've been doing for the last 10 years. We've been dreaming and being it, and we didn't even know it was this. And I found it very, very matching finger to finger with what we do. It had a lot of more knowledge and education and more explained chapters on how they work with the girls and everything. And I thought, oh, this is cool. So I immediately decided, okay, fine, I'm going to import this program and bring it to be part of our Young Women's Leadership Camp. And it has changed. It has been a life changer in the helping equip girls with leadership and life skills to survive and develop on par with men and boys in the society by helping them to make informed choices in their careers and in their lives. I think for me, Dream It, Be It is it, because I didn't know we were doing Dream It, Be It, but I think having it so well organized and arranged the way it has been arranged in North America gave me a really easier time to impress it and be able to share. And it just fell in place here in Africa, in Kenya, with their program. So my childhood challenges of and my love for service to humanity helped me to dedicate my life to the upliftment and protection of girls in the society, so that girls can thrive and lead a fairer life in the society, and even make our communities become better places. Because when girls with dreams become women, they do become women with vision and with the hope to prioritize their voices, experiences, and unique identities of all the women and girls around them. I think the world is set to change, and it's going to change. And I think that's why I have embraced Soroptimism, the vision of Soroptimism. I live by it, I dream it, I breathe it, just because it is the key for us to see a change in the near future. I encourage all of us to accelerate the achievement of gender equality by empowering all women and girls to realize and attain their full potential. Because diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is when you are asked to dance. My question tonight is, how many women and girls have you asked to dance with you? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kayanga. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and for really expressing the reality of young women across the globe. So one of the things that that you spoke about, and everyone that spoke today spoke about potentially being unsafe. Being unsafe at the beginning of their childhood and in their early life, and maybe even in their first marriages where they were feeling unsafe, and they came to Canada for safety and moved into needing housing and employment, and education is the key that I'm hearing. And Hanga, you talked about how you were doing Dream It Be It even before it was labeled Dream It Be It. So I wonder if you could just share a little bit more to everyone here, because you are mentoring and leading and guiding so many young girls across the globe. How do we help in Canada? How do we help girls that may be in unsafe situations, women that may be in unsafe marriages? How do we break that barrier through education to get them to out of poverty? Because we know poverty is still an issue too here in Canada.
Thank you so much. What I would say is, I think when we talk about inclusion and proactive participation of each and every one of us, and making sure that we are touching one life at a time. You know, sometimes as we look into doing many things, I look into touching one life at a time. And sometimes I end up touching too many lives, because that is the motto. So so I'm speaking as an African North American. So having spent 27 years in North America and now back to my village to be part of the change that I have been dreaming to see happen, I think I can say education is very important. And what I like and why I love Soroptimism is because of these opportunities for us to give scholarships to girls who are coming from very difficult communities. Please, I would encourage everyone, give scholarships to girls who are coming from difficult situations, because they will make a difference. If I was never given that scholarship to be given to the Catholics, I would never be who I am today speaking to you. It was very difficult for me, living in the convent, working in the convent, getting all the leashes for breaking their cups and plates and everything, because I came from a very poor environment where plates were just metal. And I went there and plates were all enamel and all this, and I just broke all of them. And I burned their clothes. We didn't have an iron box at home. I burned their clothes as I tried to iron for them, for the nuns. I got all the licks, but you know what? They made me this strong woman. And so I say education is very important, and let us all look at how we can help. Literacy for the women in economic development. Let us give them opportunities so they can be able to make an earning for their families, so that they can be able to bring a difference in their homes. Men here believe that women are nothing. It's until you bring a cent home, right? They see that you can have a coin, they start respecting you. They start calling you different names. But when you're depending on them to bring everything home, you are always that victim who is a nobody. So I encourage women, and I encourage our teams to give economic empowerment to women as much as we can, one woman at a time, and we can make a difference. Making sure we reduce their problems, like water problems, for example. Let them now focus on other things. If we can help them to get water and sanitation and all that, let's do it. So that let's encourage them to do environmental issues so that they can also bring back the environment that has really, really been spoiled and torn apart by different challenges and effects. So that's what I would say. Let us educate girls. Let us teach them leadership. And I would say, in my world of leadership and mentorship, I'm building little monsters because I can see these young women taking over the world. And I think that is my dream. When I see them take over the world, I think it will be one of the things that I would really, really appreciate. And out of the program that we've been having for the last 10 years, most of our girls for 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15 have finished university now. They are new into the field of employment. And I just wanted to also announce that last year in November, we chartered our first young girls or women's online club called TAWI. And that almost 90% of them are alumni from the program that we've had. And because they come back and volunteer each year, they wanted now to give back to the community. And the best thing we could do is allow them to get together as a Soroptimist club. Yes. And now be chartered as young as 18 to 30. They have their own club of over 40 young girls, and yes. They're on rocking and moving on with programs.
That's amazing. That's what and that's amazing. And you said it right there, giving back. We've heard that from everyone that's presented today, is that it motivates you to give back, and you've certainly motivated us here. And I'll echo your message about help one person and the scholarship. So live your dreams. This is exactly this, and it's the reason that scholarship empowers a woman to have the income to be able to go back to school and advance their education. It's exciting. You've gotten me all charged up. I'm hoping everyone on the call also took a lot away from this. Thank you so much to our presenters today. We do have about 10 minutes to field some questions. I wonder if I could just, I'm looking at the chat box, but there's also a Q&A bubble here. Is there any questions? I don't know, Governor Herron, would anybody be monitoring questions that they could?
Hi, Benita, that's me.
Okay, so great.
There are a couple of questions. There's quite a few comments, which you've probably seen in the chat. But the first question that we have for our other presenters was from Lisa Davies. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the question is directed at, during Miriam's presentation, immigrants that come to Canada via your government, how are they helped? So from Iran. To Miriam, sorry.
So depend on their status. If they are protected refugees, so already when they are coming with their PR, permanent residency card, and they are under protection of government. They have certain income for 1 year till they go learn their English and like get settled. It's a variety of supports available, which one of the blessing I had was knowing one of those organizations called the ISS of BC. They have settlement workers, they are helping. But the another refugee claimants who they somehow arrive to Canada and they apply for the refugee status in Canada, that's a part of the struggle, because it's going to take time, especially right now, because immigration of government department is very busy. The process for every stage is longer, and having the certain supports need your status to be clarified. That's taking time, but still it's advocacy programs available. There is lots of food programs available, food banks, which I'm serving. I'm volunteering in the one of those in the Tri-City area, Immigration Link Center Society, which we've been hosting dear Bonita over there too. But then comes to the housing and medical, this is the part of the struggles. The person who doesn't have clarified the status, they can't have certain services like learning English classes, link classes, definitely need to have a PR or accepted refugee status till get the PR. If they don't have it, they can use these resources. They can just like use the library programs, which is circle of conversation, helping them to be a little bit familiar to the English. Housing, one of the biggest struggles, because they can handle the market rents, and they are not eligible to apply for BC housing because of their status. Even if they earn their status applying for BC housing, that means like staying in the long waiting list, because the BC housing doesn't have the access to the vacancy of the projects. How many units is available? I think this is the gap also. We can work on it, because just managers of the projects, they have access and they decide who's gonna be the tenant. So somehow if they have relationship with someone refer this person who even maybe is new, have a more chance to earn the housing, subsidized housing, than the person staying in the long waiting list. So
I'm sorry, Miriam, because I'm going to have to. I didn't realize we only have about a minute left, because I want to give some time to wrap up.
Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully.
Thank you, Miriam, and I agree with you on the BC housing. It's one of the biggest challenges is some transparency into the housing. I wonder if we have time for just one more question. I know it's okay. Could we do one more question?
Yeah, there's two questions, one from Governor Suzanne and one from Susan Keller, and they're both about the daughters, children. So maybe Temi or anyone thoughts about their children's experience and how hard it's been to stay strong in front of them and watch them grow here.
Temi, would you like to answer that?
Oh, sure. My children's experience, I won't say has been smooth, because when we came in, people don't know where you are coming from, and they experience bullying, which was one of the things that breaks my heart. My daughter was called different names, and I just feel that this should be taught in schools about showing kindness. You don't know where somebody is coming from. You don't know what their life has been before, but not to make assumptions, because so many assumptions were made about them, and which were not palatable, which were not something to be proud of. But I always let them stay grounded, that they don't know. That's why they don't know you. That's why they are making those assumptions. And then don't react to the way the way you have been treated. Be a better person. And yeah, and they are doing good. My first daughter is in the university, and the other one too, she'll be going to college this September. They are weathering the storm, and they are enjoying Canada so far. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you so much. And I mean, just talking about the work that needs to be done around inclusion and racism in this country, we know that that's a struggle every day. Well, I raise my hands to all of you. Thank you so much to the panelists. I'm going to pass it over to Governor Hawk to wrap up for us today. Governor.
Thank you, MP Bonita. I'm sorry, Governor Suzanne has no internet right now, so I will wrap up. And I'm so amazed what I heard today. It's, I mean, what we have seen is education is really crucial. And therefore, we as Soroptimists are really proud of our Live Your Dream Award, and also of the Dream It Be It, which educates the children. But we also saw that there are things we have to think about in the future, like the credentials who are not accepted, and the language barrier, which needs to be addressed. And I think these are things we have to find solutions for, not probably as Soroptimists, but at least from our country. And I'm very happy that we have two MPs today who can take this forward. And I also know from personal experience that the credentials are not accepted in this country, wherever you come from. So it's a loss of intelligence for the country and an unnecessary challenge for the people coming to our beautiful country of Canada. So back to education. We have seen how education improved the life of all 4 participants today. And this makes me really proud. And I thank you for sharing this today. I'm really thankful for Bonita, who did the moderation. Your job was amazing. And for the 4 panelists who shared so openly from your life and how you are where you are now and how you try to give back what you have received. And I think that's what we are all about, especially as women. We want to make the world a better place. So thank you for that. But I also, before we go, I would like to thank the committee who worked to get this all going, especially our 2 ladies in the back who helped this to go smoothly, Jennifer Oliver and Sharon Lockhart, and Sharon Fisher, who provided the online platform. So thank you for attending, being interested in this issue, and for sharing your questions and comments. We wish you a good day, a good afternoon, a good evening, wherever you are, and goodbye until we see each other again. Bye.